11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. We come to you live every day at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 Pacific for about an hour or 90 minutes each day. We do 3 gun-related topics. We do different topics throughout the week. We run the show live on YouTube. We simulcast it over at gunchannels.com, where we're watching the live comments that are coming in from everybody that watches the show live with us and participates in the show in the comments. We're also watching it over on YouTube. Every so often, we'll take the audio from the shows and we'll post them as podcasts over on iTunes. So we encourage anybody that's listening to the show now or in the future, leave us some feedback over on whatever platform it is you listen to us on. That lets us helps let us know where you're listening, and hopefully gets the show recommended to more listeners. And that's something we're interested in doing. So we do appreciate that favor. So everybody that takes that time to subscribe to whatever channel it might be on, Instagram or Gun Channels, or over on YouTube or wherever, or liking the videos, all that helps to get the shows using the platforms. So we do appreciate that effort. There's 4 hosts. 3 of us are here on Fridays. We got Bob jumping in from Canada. Thanks for joining.
Hey, glad to be here.
And then we got Smeggy jumping in from probably Michigan.
Hey, how's everyone doing today?
Good. And then I'm down here in Arizona. So let's see, today's Friday, and that makes it Gun Tech Day. So we'll be talking about gun care and maintenance. For the gun biz, we'll be talking about upselling and whether or not that's necessary. And then for the alternative gun topics, the most useless tool we've ever purchased. We do a gun shop every single day, a movie each day, gun of the day, and some other stuff that we try to do on a daily basis. But before we dig into any of that, we like to take a break before the beginning of the show here to see if anything happened overnight. Anything worth talking about?
CloverTac had a good kind of late night chat last night. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I guess Yankee did a chat, and we never know if Yankee's going to do a chat on Thursdays. And so CloverTac was not going to do a chat after Gun News Weekly because he likes to do chats about the other chats that have been happening, about the live shows. And he figured there'd be nothing to talk about. And then I guess he just had some energy in him, so he decided to go live anyway, and ended up having a 3-hour chat. It was pretty good. Good to have a nighttime chat going again. Lots of still awake and talking about different opinions on stuff. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was. It was lots of different people in there that were not different, but I mean, lots of people with different opinions. So it was a good discussion.
Yeah, and of course that happens on the night that I lost power.
It was very.
I'm the one that's always like, man, we need more nighttime stuff, and then I lose power on the night that all the nighttime stuff happens.
Yeah, we kind of missed getting there, Smeggy.
I think also Hit or Miss did a show last night. The Smeggy list, Hit or Miss.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do that from now on. Night Strike won't show up on Tuesdays. I won't show up on Thursdays. Twice the fun.
The hit or miss, the guests miss each other, and everyone's
yeah. I'm just kidding. This was just a weird week. That's all. But one thing that happened in the gun world, I noticed today, at least as far as California is concerned, how they finally accepted the regulations for registering your assault weapons and all that BS. Well, apparently the website you're supposed to use, damn near instantly was down. So it's like, oh, you guys could register your stuff now, and then it was down. Not that I think anyone's really registering the stuff right away. I'd wait till the very last second if I was in California. But either way, I just find that kind of humorous. It's like, oh, don't worry, trust us, we'll get it all figured out.
Did they use the same text as Obamacare?
Probably the same company, if I had to guess. No, I have no idea. But that's at least somewhat gun related. Other than that, I didn't really see any other gun related news from yesterday to today. Yeah,
it's sad that we are trained in deadened enough to just laugh it off, but that's a horrible abuse of bureaucracy and representativism, or whatever the words would be, because they're passing stuff that's not, doable, and then in the attempt they fail, right? The attempt to actually facilitate it. So the fact that we just laugh it off and not don't hold their feet to the fire, I guess, is sad. This should be an easy win. This should be something that they never forget. Not just like the shoulder thing that goes up or the 30 caliber clip. They, the stuff that we think is funny because it's a little snippet. Maybe some of this stuff we should never let go. Just like Obamacare, the healthcare website. Some people will never forget that. Let's maybe make an effort to focus on all their failures at gun legislation. Maybe list that stuff over in Every Second Matters.
That's a good idea.
We would need a bigger website, but
that's true.
Yeah, no, I agree with you though, and you're right. Yeah, I mentioned it because I did think it was kind of important, but
there is a chance that's looking at the past too much.
It's possible.
Maybe we can leave some phone numbers at the top of that page.
That would be helpful also. I totally agree with both aspects.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I guess we'll dig into the show, the Daily Gun Show that we're here for.
Yeah, let's do it.
I guess we'll also mention, since we just kind of referred to it there, the Every Second Matters show is up again, thanks to Pink Panther over on Gun Channels, who chopped the end off. It was ruined. The end of it got stuck in poop, so it was stinky. And Pink cut the end off of there, and now it's up and running, so everybody can check out the good information that Smeg came up with, and Brandon from Firearms Policy Coalition. And it's over on the Gun Website's YouTube channel. Just type in Every Second Matters, and you should be able to find it. All right, so that takes us to Gun Tech, which is gun care and maintenance. I have a Glock, so I don't have to worry about this. And I also have AK-47s, so I'm not familiar with these terms, but maybe you guys can chime in. You have CZs and 9mm, Brownings, Colts.
Hey, well, anyone who's seen Foosa's CZ knows that those things run covered in dirt, just like Glocks can.
Yep. And I've got over 1,500 rounds through my Browning. I haven't run a bore brush.
Oh, almost a weekend's worth of ammo through it, eh?
But, other than wipe down the outside with an oily rag, that's all I do for maintenance on that one.
See, I'm not gonna fall into this trap of, well, it can work all dirty and messed up, so that's close enough. Because honestly, I clean my guns after I go to the range. Even if I put a couple hundred rounds through it, I come home and I clean it. I don't completely rip it all the way apart, but I will, run something through the bore a couple times and then field strip it, just kind of wipe off all the gunk and
Dano's
put a little bit of oil and grease on it and put it away.
Dano's not here, so I can use an analogy, and I can talk about a shovel, because Dano would go, we're not talking about a shovel, we're talking about a gun. But let's say you had a shovel. You can go out in the filthy mud or whatever, wet sand, horse poop, wet leaves, I don't know, muck, whatever it is you're shoveling. Probably in Canada, it'd be a lot of muck and scum and, whatever wet, filthy, stinky stuff you're going to be shoveling in Canada. Now you can go out there and shovel, right? And then just put your shovel away, done. Like I dug the end of my hole, whatever I did, put my shovel away. And you can do that for often, right? Quite a while. But if anybody's ever had a shovel in areas where it rusts, right? At some point, you keep doing that and you go back to use your shovel 1 year or whatever, and it's just a rusty husk, right? You've ruined it. So, obviously there's a little bit of difference there, but I think it's the same concept. You can use a gun forever, for a long, long time, and it's still going to run. But is that gun going to last the ultimate amount of time? I'd say no. When you do like what Smeggy's saying, as long as you're not rubbing it to death or, wearing it out from all the cleaning, then I think that if you're cleaning it every time you use it, that gun's going to last forever. Both guns are obviously going to run if it's a decent gun. Cleaning isn't necessary, but I think it's going to make the gun last longer overall.
Oh, so now so you started this whole conversation making it sound like you didn't care about maintenance, but I'm glad I won you over to my side.
Oh, no, I keep all my guns clean except for a couple which I don't care about because they're just tools type of guns. For the most part, I don't want to leave my guns put away. If I don't know, it's a little bit different. And then again, we talk about, oh, well, if you've got different guns, well, it depends on what you're doing with your guns. If you've got a lot of guns, then you might not see a gun for a while. You know, you buy one or you use one or whatever the hell it is, you pull one out for some reason and go shoot it, and you put it back up. You might not see that gun for a long, long time. I've got guns I haven't seen in over a year. I'm sure I've got guns I haven't seen in 3 years. Like they're just somewhere in the back, and I don't get to them. I don't pull them out. I don't go to that area, and I'm sure there's other people like that, hunting guns and stuff. So yeah, if you get the habit of just putting guns away and like, oh, I'll clean it next time I use it, then you go back 3 years later, 5 years later, and you got problems with that gun that you created. So there's only a couple of guns. Now shotguns aren't such a big deal because I don't care about them. But even after hunting season, I'll usually wipe them down and put them away, even though I have little respect for them guns.
Yeah, well, and the biggest thing for me, especially you just mentioned hunting and stuff, is wiping down the outside. I like leaving a nice little thin coat of oil on the outside, so that way when I put it away, you know, it's got that barrier.
Yeah,
I also live in a more humid area than you do.
Yeah,
so
that's a great thing. And then what'll happen up there, and it'll happen down here, is if you wipe your gun all up and then just grab it and put it away, and you leave your hand on the metal and you leave your oils from your hand on there, you'll get some fingerprints that'll rust up if you haven't touched it in a long time, even out here. So like you're saying, wipe it all down with oil or one of them impregnated rags, right? And then use that to put it up in the safe. So the last thing it ever touches is that impregnated rag.
Yeah, I have an old shirt, and I just, put my hand under the shirt, then grab the gun with that, so my skin's not touching it. But
yeah, I use an old Gun Channel shirt just because it's cooler.
We have more respect for our Gun Channel shirts, I guess.
Yeah, I know. Well, he's also the same dude who wipes his face with a Canadian flag napkin on.
Oh wait, hold on. We don't know.
Today.
He didn't say it was his shirt. He could have stole that shirt off of Marco or something, probably.
He could have, but it's the same thing. See, I hold my Gun Channel shirts in reverence, like the flag. I don't wipe my mouth with it.
So you burn them when they're wore out?
I don't know. I haven't worn one out yet. Maybe I will. Maybe I will retire it one day.
Watch out. What? Are you going to be on Tony's side of that one, Bob?
I'm not sure what Tony's side was, so.
Oh, I assumed you were talking about the flag debate earlier on the early show.
Oh, I must have missed that. No, I just, like I say, when your flag's wore out, you ceremonially burn it. Same as, when your t-shirts are wore out. Like, after mine are no good for even rags. Well, they're got so much oil in them, they make pretty good fire starters. So,
Yeah, well, I don't agree with that 100%, or at least not down the line, because it's not every flag. It's flags that are worn out, and flags that were worn out in the line of duty more than a flag that just is tattered. Because we were talking about an auction for one of the flags that was in D-Day. I guess it was on one of the boats landing craft at D-Day, and it's going up for auction, and they anticipate it going for $200,000, I think they said. So we were talking about that, and there was a position on the panel this morning who said the flag should be retired, in other words, burned ceremoniously to put to rest. And then there was another faction who said, hell the fuck no, that's a piece of, that's an artifact from history. And while there is, respect that you give to the flag, that's when a flag gets tattered under just daily use and wind and rain and sun, and the fabric that it's made on falls apart. Yes, you retire that through a fire ceremoniously, but I don't think every tattered flag, gets that fate. I think you can use discretion and give honor to a flag that freaking was in D-Day and not burn it, and instead put it on display somewhere with respect and honor.
Oh, exactly.
And that's almost respecting the people of D-Day that probably got just as tattered. You know, it's a remembrance of the whole thing.
They did get just as tattered as that flag.
But anyway, then we can steer back to gun maintenance and stuff, other than just a very overview of, yeah, maintenance is good. I'd be curious. This is always starts fanboyism and stuff, but what stuff do you guys use? You have certain oils you like, or certain cleaning products that are really nice?
I always use the same oil ever since I've been cleaning guns, and that is whatever's free or given to me for free. So I'll use whatever samples I get anytime, and you can keep your eye out for those. A lot of times in a competitive market like gun lubes, then there's all kinds of samples. Same with gun cleaners, right? There's tons of competition, so that means tons of samples. Just keep your eyes and ears out there, especially at gun shops and gun shows. They'll have those little fish bowls, right, with samples that they encourage you to try their stuff out. And you can ask them. You don't have to be a jerk and steal nothing, but say, hey, do you mind if I grab a couple? And they'll say, I don't care, because they were free. And then you have a couple of them right away. Then that way you can keep them in your bags or whatever. They're not practical for the environment because they use a lot of one-use, single-use containers. But if you don't care about the environment, then that's the way to go. But the other way is stuff that they're getting rid of at gun shops. A lot of times at gun shops, you may not realize they get a lot of estates and people like, I don't know where this gun came from, but it was, it was in our closet and it had this box of stuff with it. And the stuff is like a half a thing of hops, always. A bunch of those cotton things that somebody used one or two of them and the rest of them are clean. Whole bunch of patches. Again, somebody used like 3 of them, left them in the box instead of throwing them away, and the rest of them are clean. And then always a couple of pipe cleaners, because somebody thought pipe cleaners are necessary for cleaning a gun. And then occasionally some other stuff. So they'll almost always, if you pay attention going to gun shops, they'll have some kind of like dollar box, and you can go in there and grab those half bottles of hoppies. And sometimes you can get the whole little toolbox that some lady brought in with all the weird half bottles of cleaners and half used patches and stuff. So that's my go-to. And I've never really had to buy anything except for maybe in an emergency, but I don't even think then. I always use those samples and free stuff.
Yeah, that was something I was going to mention when you said the samples, is those are perfect size for a range bag, because it's like you said, it's a one-use thing. And if it's one of those things you're having problems at the range because your gun got dirty or whatever and just needs another couple drops of oil, crack that thing open, use it. You might as well use the rest of it up on the rest of the guns you got with you, and get your stuff back in working order, and you save the day instead of having to put the thing away.
Yep, I kind of agree with that. I like those samples they give away. I'll also use whatever's handy. I mean, whether it's WD-40, motor oil. If I need to put some kind of oil on my gun, oil's oil. 3-in-1 oil, I don't care.
Well, first off, oil is not oil.
That makes you have no confidence in Bob as a machinist or any kind of machine operator. Oil is not oil. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
whatever keeps it lubricated. That's all that matters.
I mean, that goes back to is it close enough? Yeah, it's close enough. Just like, yeah, you can drive your car on a flat tire or a low tire. You can do it. It's not great for it, and you might mess something else up. But, it's close enough.
I'm not talking a low tire. We're talking some kind of lubricant that's going to protect the metal and keep it running smoothly. Like I say, I mean, back in the day, lard was the big thing. Any kind of animal fat was used for lubrication, and it's fine. It works. It smells, but...
And again, I'm not disagreeing that it works. I'm putting that in quotes. Like, yeah, it's kind of close enough, but there's a reason that all these different companies come out with different formulas, and just like engine oil, how they keep coming out with new stuff and stuff that helps clean and stuff that lasts longer and more resistance to heat, or has the little micro bead things or whatever. There's all these different technologies that they come up with. Well, some of it's marketing, but some of it works better. It's a better mousetrap. Does the old school mousetrap work? Yeah, it works okay, but the newer one works better. And it's the same thing with the oils and cleaners and whatnot.
Yeah, so that's like saying that vegetable oil is the same as mineral oil, and that's the same as lard, and that's the same as motor oil. They're all different for a reason. They all have different
Yeah, I wouldn't use motor oil to cook with.
Well, then why would you use motor oil in a gun? So that's ridiculous. So there's
For metal wearing on metal, so it's fine. It works good.
okay. Well, again, so if you have no knowledge of how oils or those lubricants work, then you could say that. But if you have any knowledge of how they work, then why would you pick one that's designed to work to be viscous at high speeds and designed to run up and down pistons and all that? That's designed to do something that a firearm doesn't obtain. Maybe if it was a full auto or something, but it's not. So, there's a difference between frog lube and fire clean, right? Because they apply differently. They have different characteristics. So obviously motor oil is the same way. So obviously it can work, so can WD-40, but when you're talking about operating a machine next to your eyeballs, I only have 2 eyeballs. I don't know about in Canada because you got your free health care and you put robot eyes in maybe, but I only got 2 of those things. So do I want motor oil slopping around in my AR-15 by my eyeball? No. Do I want Slip 2000, which doesn't matter at all if it gets in your eyeball? Yeah, I'd rather have that. And I know there's going to be some debris and debris and other stuff in there as well, but at least I'd rather have the oil not also, or the lubricant not working against me. So I think there's a lot of differences between lubricants. And then, again, where we're at, where you guys are, you need to worry about filling voids from water. I don't have to worry about that. I need to worry about making it not dry out, right? So there's different properties to oils and lubricants and cleaners, and I think that's all stuff to be aware of. And sure, there's some branding and some marketing that's distracting, but I think overall there are properties to these things. And you're not going to use Cosmoline when mineral oil is a better thing, and you're not going to use WD-40 penetrant that gums everything all up for small intricate parts that your life depend on. It's ridiculous.
Right. Well, and that's like the same thing with the difference between like grease and oil. I like putting a little dab of grease on the actual rail because it stays longer, right? You can shoot it more and it's still lubricated, but you don't want to get that stuff all down inside like the hammer springs and the triggers and stuff, because it just collects all of the carbon and it gets gunked up more. So that's where you would use an oil type thing. But anyway, so yeah, as far as brands go, I see some people saying Slip 2000. I like that stuff. And that's one of the ones I have a little tube of or whatever. I also like the ALG Go Juice. I got a bunch of free samples of that, so those are tucked in pockets all over the place.
If I over the house stuff, I'd buy Slip because you can get it in your eyes and your mouth and stuff and not die from it, and that's I think a good thing. And if I ever had to buy it, I would. But you can keep your eyes open, and they're competing. They do have samples out there, nice size samples.
Well, I'd just like to say, if any of these lubricant manufacturers want to send us some, and we'll try it out, maybe you can change some of our minds to make us like your product. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I was putting a challenge out there.
Yeah, get Canada off motor oil.
Can a U.S. made lubricant unstick a rusty Canadian's mindset? Can it? All right. Well, with that, we've solved gun tech, care, and maintenance. You're welcome. So with that, we'll move on to gun biz. In this section of the show, we're going to talk about upselling guns and whether or not that's really necessary, adding features that folks typically add, good idea, bad idea. So I don't know what we're going to take that. But before we do, we always take a break between the first and second segment of the show each day to feature one of the members over at Gun Channels. We talked about Gun Channels before. It's a place we built a while back. It's a community. It's focused on firearms. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of friend people over there. I find some people that are into firearms to chat with pretty much 24 hours a day. So with that in mind, we like to feature one of the members, and today it is Night Strike. So Night Strike is the co-host with Smeggy. I think we even featured him last week already. But he's the co-host of Hit or Miss with Smeggy on Tuesdays, and an active participant in all kinds of live events, as well as just the text chat, and he's also one of the admins to help literally keep the place running.
Yeah, Night Strike, the one who strikes at night.
So I think this week was from Angry, right? These were a bunch of recommendations from Angry. So thanks for that. Anytime somebody wants to contribute to the show. We do try to keep it a two-way street. Like, it's really the new media. This is an exercise in utilizing social media platforms. So take advantage of that. Give us some suggestions for members of the day. That'd be great. You can email them to us at dailygunshow@gmail.com. I think I cut Smeggy off there.
Oh no, that's fine. I was just gonna say.
Well, then I'll just cut you off again.
Okay, great. I'll just throw some motor oil on it. We'll be fine. But is theoretically there a theme that Angry was going for? Maybe you guys can try and figure it out and ask him if you're right.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know if there's a theme or not, but I'm going to assume that, you know what? I'm going to assume there is. I just don't know what it is.
You know what happens when you assume, eh?
People who have been on this show.
It's possible. I think I scrolled down too much. I was going to go back and see what the other weeks were. So it was Night Strike today. Oh my God, why is my computer scrolling like crazy?
CNSA, man.
Today it was the day before it was Heavy B, then Sean Connery, and then Flippy was Monday. So Flippy, Connery, Heavy B, Tony York, and Night Strike with a Y. Why? Because he can.
Huh.
All right,
Yeah,
so
I don't have any idea. So you guys go bug Angry. Try and figure it out.
you over there?
I don't know.
Not even around. He's ditching it. He didn't want people bugging him.
He's ducking. Yeah, he's ducking the challenge.
All right, so with that, we will move into the gun biz. It's time for us to solve the gun biz, get some money back into the industry, solve a lot of problems, create some jobs. So upselling guns unnecessarily, adding features that folks typically add. Yeah, sometimes these get jammed into the wrong spot. Maybe this was supposed to be a good idea, bad idea, but it's gun biz today. So upselling guns unnecessarily.
Does that mean like putting accessories, like manufacturers putting extra features on that don't need to be there? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, I mean, upselling is normally a thing that, someone working in a store does, right? Like that's
Has to happen at the store, yes. Unless it's like they've got the model and then that same model with the threaded barrel, or the model and then the model with the takedown barrel, or the model and then the painted model. I guess that could be if they had multiple options for the person. Let's upsell them the one that's got more options.
Yeah, or they're looking for a high point and the guy says, oh, but you should try this Glock because it's better, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of upselling, right?
Oh, well, I guess that's true. I think there's probably some of that. I know I do it when somebody will come in and just say, like, I need a little gun for such and such. Unless they're like completely adamant about it, I'll make them look at a Glock 19 first, and then let them look at something else after. But I always make them start with that. And I guess you could consider that upselling if they're coming from like a little stupid Ruger or one of them stupid little Smiths or something, or a stupid little Glock.
Well, I mean, I guess the biggest thing with upselling, I mean, if it's right in the question unnecessarily, then yeah, that's kind of annoying. If you're buying, you buy a rifle or whatever, and they're like, oh, you have to get this little pouch thingy or whatever, and it ends up you never use it, and it's a dumb little thing, then that's just someone trying to get more of your money. But I'm going to take that word, the unnecessary part, out of it and go with, a lot of times upselling is helpful to the customer as well as the store, because it might be something they hadn't thought of. So let's say they're getting a rifle and a scope or whatever, and then the person's like, oh, but do you also want, I don't even know, I'm trying to think of a good example, but like something else, like, the guy's going to use it for hunting, he doesn't get a sling for it. Be like, oh, you have a sling for that? And it's like, oh, yeah, I should get one of those too. Like sometimes this, yeah, exactly, something, or a case, or whatever, lens covers for the scope if it doesn't come with one, or whatever the thing is. So the salesman will sometimes know, okay, like you're getting this thing, and I know a bunch of other customers will also get this other accessory because it's helpful, and maybe the person hadn't thought of that. So I don't think it's like by definition a bad thing if you take out that word unnecessary, because otherwise then it's, that question's defining that, yeah, it pretty much has to be a bad thing because you're wasting money at a store on something you're never going to use. But I know when I worked at the hardware store, I did that stuff a lot. People coming in there buying paint, and we just ask them, like, you got enough, replacement rollers or brushes, or you got tarps? And they're like, oh, crap, I forgot tarps. Yeah, let me go get some. You know what I mean? So it helped them out because it was something they needed and they hadn't thought of. They didn't get it. So I guess that's considered upselling, but it was helpful.
Yeah.
And I think the gun industry is the same way. Especially if someone doesn't really know exactly what they're getting. They're just like, oh yeah, I just want this rifle because I heard shooting rifles is fun. And they don't have any accessories for it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Smeggy, that, yeah, something like accessories and stuff like that, you can upsell them on. But I mean, if they just buy, the Browning high power, they don't need to buy, you don't need to upsell them on anything because that is the premier, finest handgun made in the world. So
you can sell them a holster.
Anything else?
You could if you're selling a holster, you could sell them a gun belt.
Good point. Yeah.
I mean, there's always upselling is not just the one thing you're getting, like getting a bigger one or a better one or whatever. It's other stuff that goes along with it. Like I said, tarps when you're buying a can of paint. But yeah, so there's always something you can at least. I like when, here, let me say this: if people are upselling me, instead of just being like, "Oh, you need this also," is when you form it as a question, like, "Oh, did you, do you have a holster? Were you thinking of carrying it?" Like, get the customer to realize that they are forgetting something that may be a useful accessory in the future. So
I think that you got a couple of things that I'll agree with. The letting somebody know, especially if they're novice, letting them know about stuff like, oh, you're going to carry that around your purse. Are you going to get a holster for it? What do I need a holster in my purse for, right? If you've got some kind of sale, also, a lot of times the stores will have some sort of deal or discount or bonus. If you're buying the gun, you get a 20% off a holster or a box of ammo or something, so maybe you can take advantage of some savings. And I guess Bob mentioned it, I think there, I was reading the chats too, but maybe letting them know about something they don't know about. So yeah, they're buying a bolt action rifle, but are you planning on using a sling for support when you're shooting? Are you going to be using a bipod? And have you started looking at those yet? Have you got a hard case for it with that optic on there? If you're going to cram it into your soft case, make it bumped around. That kind of stuff. If somebody's not thinking about it and they're, again, novice or just new, then learning, then I think that can offer a lot, actually. I mean, it'll give the shooter a better experience if they don't go out to the range and find out, nobody ever addressed the fact that I should have put this in a hard case, brought it all the way out to the range and got it sighted in, brought it out the next time and it's all goofy, and then somebody laughed at me because I have a soft case, right? So you could actually be helping the customer out, or the customer, as a customer, be open-minded to some of that. To some extent, they're going to try to make money. But on the other hand, like I say, they are aware of what's going on and what things people typically buy, right? On the other end, if you want to support that store and keep them in business, then they might have made, I don't know, 10, 20%, maybe 10% probably on that gun. So what did you just spend on that gun? $700? They made $70 on that gun. I don't think you realize that they ain't keeping no lights on. That's not hardly paying one guy to be there all day as far as salary, right? Not even including his health insurance and his other things, that taxes and stuff. So anything you're buying there at 40%, that's helping the store out. So just keeping that in mind. Yeah, you can get it cheaper online. You can get it cheaper at the big box. But who do you want to be there next year? The online store, the big box, or that place that you can go chat about your rifle and they give a shit when you go hunting?
Very true.
I don't know. Do we need to keep going with this, or did we solve the gun biz that quick?
I think we kind of solved it, because
I think every gun store that's listening to us today, they now know that, you know, upselling is good as long as you take out that word unnecessarily, and they need to have giant fish bowls filled with Slip 2000 that are like candy dishes.
Or any other free gun move.
Yeah, but Slip 2000 is pretty darn good. So I'm going to bandwagon on that one.
So I'm going to
I like that product.
On channel side, which is going like gangbusters today, chatting back and forth about the topics, but also a comment back here from, I forget who it was, Squib, saying, how about not using the same 12 members of the day all the time? With a whole bunch of question marks. So here's how about. Number one, this week was sent in via email. And if you pay attention to the show, we don't check our email every single day. Dano does, and then he doesn't tell us what was in the email. So it's not like we are aware that things happen in email. And somebody complains about never having us email, and then we go, oh, and then we go look at the email. So at some point in the past, some Angry sent in those. And the week before, I had done one. No one ever guessed it, but it was the people who had answered the most questions in the Q&A section of Gun Channels. And I can't help it if Night Strike and others happen to be in that list, and then also in Angry's list. And guess what? They might be in next week's list if we decide to do, I don't know, people who are admins on Gun Channels. I have no idea what we're going to do next week. But why do we feature the same 12 people? Maybe it's because right now we don't have dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of people all active on Gun Channels. We're down to a few dozen. So as we get more active people, we'll continue to include them. And if you'd like to suggest a list, our email address is dailygunshow@gmail.com. We're more than happy to use some of these lists.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like that's part of the show is we want audience participation. So if you've got an idea for people who maybe you've gotten information from through Gun Channels, or maybe they've done you a favor on Gun Channels, or there's someone you've interacted with them and had a good experience or bad, send them in. Let us know, and we will add them in to the list of Gun Channel members of the day. I mean, we can't keep track of all of them. I mean, the thing is that, you know, the ones that pop to mind are the ones that we interact with most. So that's why the same ones may tend to come up a lot, because it's the same active people. But, you know, if you've been having interactions with people that maybe aren't in the chats and aren't as active, you know, interacting with us as much, heck yeah, put them up, put the names out there.
Do we want to attach more viewers and keep them? Well, yeah, but I don't mention everybody by name every day. I guess we could. So we have like 30-something viewers every day. They're just.
Oh, that's an idea. Start mentioning, you know, a viewer of the day.
Okay, so go ahead to your magical list of who our viewers are, Bob, and grab one each day. How about that? Oh wait, the only way we have to know who our viewers are is by who's active in the chats. Dun dun dun, and guess who we'd be featuring? The same 12 people every day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyhow, back to the topics. That's the whole point, though. It's a new media, and yeah, I mean, seriously, we're not going to just list off people on Gun Channels. I don't think anybody joins Gun Channels to be highlighted or anything, except for maybe the people that are doing shows and creating channels or whatever. But yeah, noted. And we've been doing some things, like I say, the people who had answered the most questions. It just happens to be that the people who answer the most questions are the most active on Gun Channel, so they happen to also be hosts and other things. So going to see some of us show up more than once in the list. All right, so with that, alternative gun topics, do we do that next? Or do we want to do one of the daily segments?
Let's do gun of the day.
Okay, what's the gun of the day, Bob?
Helico Liberty. That's that 9mm with a helical drum, or helical tube drum type magazine. Holds 100 rounds in 9mm, though. I think that's kind of cool. Fortunately, the sights are on the magazine, so that makes it kind of weird. But they're a funky looking gun, but they, you know, we talk about how we want to see more innovation in firearms. Well, this is pretty innovative. It's been around for a while. And I've seen some people, and they'll get a whole 100-round drum to dump. Not that many, but they are an interesting idea. I mean, they were designed, I think, for law enforcement. So, yeah. I mean, imagine you got 100 rounds in a little carbine, a little 9mm carbine. That's pretty cool. And it's, it doesn't have a big bulky drum under it. It's got a very unique feed system, very unique magazine. But yeah, kind of think it's a cool little gun. So what do you guys think of the Calico? I know you've shot one, haven't you, G?
Oh yeah, I really like them. I'm looking for my video right now.
Yeah.
I don't think I filmed the 9mm dump. Maybe I did. Anyway, it's the gun from Spaceballs, since everybody knows that gun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a like I say, a funky looking gun, but it kind of works, and I think it's pretty cool.
You know what Calico is?
Well, it's a cat.
No, California company. See, Calico.
Well, I didn't know that. Maybe I don't like it now. No, I still like it. I don't care where they made it.
This says 200,000 views. I didn't know that. So that's what it looks like when you take two of them, 22, and you put a mags in them and then shoot them at the same time out into the desert. Got nothing. That'll get you 200,000 views on YouTube. Only costs 200 rounds of ammo. It's basically, what is that, 1,000 rounds or 1,000 views per round of ammo? It's pretty good. They shoot out the bottom. They're basically a 10-22 upside down, and then they drop out the bottom instead of the top.
Okay. That rimfire, it's pretty reliable.
Yeah, 200 rounds, one failure to feed, and you're gonna laugh that these are unreliable. These are great guns.
Yeah, I think they're awesome.
I think they're super cool. They look all.
I've never shot one, but I think they're awesome.
Or maybe two failure feeds. But I'm also not paying much attention to these guns. I'm just shooting them.
We do. You smoking barrels. Hopefully a lot of happy viewers. That was pretty fun, got to tell you. Thanks again to our friends at...
There you go. Tucson Guns gave me those to shoot, and the ammo and the guns. So, well, they didn't give the guns back. But anyway, so here's the mag being loaded. It's a helical mag, not whatever Bob was saying.
So and then, round helical drum.
Yeah, helical. Not some kind of held fucking tube or whatever. So you basically got a little windy thing. I don't know why I'm tickling it around. See, there's this windy thing on this end.
And that Russians come up with that?
No. Russian came up with no helical mag.
I think the Russians had a mag like that.
They copied off it, I'm sure, when somebody civilized came up with it, somebody who knew science, and then the Russians copied it. Yeah. You can like let the tension off of that thing, and you can crank the tension back up. And it's kind of necessary more on that rimfire one because of the rims. On the 9, it feeds not quite as fast as you can shoot it, but it ain't nothing to feed that 9. That 9mm Calico, if you can get a 9mm Calico pistol, do not stop at go. Just grab that gun and enjoy it. That's a fun gun. That's an adequate use for 9mm. Because 100 rounds would give you about what, 145 ACP Derringer.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's the math, the translation.
Yeah.
All right, well, so interesting.
Yeah, cool. That's our kind of thing.
They make them holding stock. They make them as a pistol. They make them with wood stocks that look pretty neat, and they make them in full auto. So back in the day, you could have bought them as full auto just by going to the pre-86. You could have just gone to the store and bought one of those things in full auto, waited for a little while, had a full auto 100 round 22.
That's kind of cool. I'd rather have a 9mm though, because we all know 22 is such an old primitive cartridge.
All right, so people are so disinterested in your Calico gun there that in the video that they still talking about our Gun Channels member of the day. So, thing about Gun Channels, not everybody's interested in joining the lobby as a participant or any of the live chats, and then there's probably people that don't even care about watching them. So I hear what you're saying as far as inviting people on and asking them a bunch of questions, but this is just our podcast. This isn't the welcome wagon to Gun Channels. So we do that in the lobbies. There's a channel for new members that has a new member panelist question list that a group of people came up with a long time ago now. And occasionally when somebody remembers about it, they'll see somebody new in the chat and bring those questions in and ask them if it's okay to ask them. And then that gives them some, gives the person an introduction and lets us know how they shoot and what they're interested in, so we can start conversations with them. But that's something that if somebody's interested in doing all that, they can take care of that in the lobby for sure, or in one of the just panel type of shows that happen.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's the one big thing with Gun Channels is you're always welcome. If there's a lobby chat going on or something like that, and you think you want to be in it, and you got things to add, even if you don't have anything to add, you just want to be in it to see what it's like, ask. 99% of the time you're going to get a link and you get to sit in there. As long as you're not an a-hole, it's going to be no problem.
Speaking of a-holes, why don't we move along to the next topic? I don't have anything written in here, so we're the a-holes for not scheduling good. I think we talked about getting them together tomorrow, though, and maybe scheduling some shows. Are we still doing that?
Yeah, I should be around.
What time though? Because depending on what time I might be on the road, but if I can work it out, I'll set up my laptop and try to get into it.
How about you tell us what window you'll be on the road, and then we can give you a time when we plan on going live.
I'll be on the road probably from 10 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. So that would be 8.
Oh my God, I'm going to be on the road for the vast majority of the day.
Well, it's true. It's a 6-hour drive.
Oh, right in the window that we wanted to have a 6-hour show too.
Yeah. Exactly what I was thinking. 10 to 4.
Usually we do the scheduling show at noon so that it lines up with the recording, so it sounds legit. Not like now where it's at 7 p.m. and the lady's talking about. Yeah. It's
9 at Radio Free America.
It's not really 11:59 when we start the show. It's more like 6:59. So anyway, we usually do it at noon, our time, right?
Yeah.
Anyhow, I don't care when we do it. So we're probably going to get together tomorrow, though, and go live, let Patreons in like we did today. Sent out a link earlier, about an hour early, to our Patreon supporters. Anybody that's interested can jump in, chat with us a bit, get scoops. All the people that jumped in earlier know when the road trip's starting. I'm just saying. And that kind of information, knowledge right now. So that's the kind of scoop you get. That's the kind of inside business you're aware of when you're one of our Patreon supporters and you take advantage of the pre-show links. Anyway, we'll do that same thing tomorrow and we'll schedule some stuff. Maybe you should have jumped in here early, an hour early.
Anyway, and I was just thinking about as far as the scheduling show, maybe we'll schedule some members of the week. We'll take suggestions from our Patreons.
There you go.
All right, so with all of that, we can go to a gun shop of the day. Anybody got one off the top of their head?
Not off the top of my head. Maggie, you got one?
I don't know. I only ever go to the same ones. You guys have heard about them a million times. I haven't been to a new one in a while.
All right, well, then I'll grab one out of thin air, and I will go with Shooter's World and Phoenix. You know, it might not. I'm pretty sure it is Phoenix, but it might be one of the suburbs because there are no suburbs. It's all really Phoenix. They just act like they're suburbs. So it's in Phoenix. It's on North Phoenix, like if you're heading towards Flagstaff. So it's north of downtown and right off of 17. So it's really easy to get to as far as being right off the main highway that goes through town. And like a block or something off the highway in a commercial area. So not a lot of difficulty parking or getting off the highway to it. There's not, I've never really experienced a lot of traffic. It's not like some of the exits from the highway that during rush hour, if you're not familiar with town, you know, it's, you know, one of the major thoroughfares or something. It's not like that. It's usually pretty easy to get to and from the place. I've been going there since forever, since I can remember living out here. It's been a fixture of the Phoenix gun shops and shooting ranges. It's an indoor range and a large gun shop. So it's in an industrial area and it's a large building. So like a big 2-story plus building, warehouse type of building, and a bunch of other warehouses and maybe transportation hub type of giant buildings with yards that hold semi trucks and stuff. So no worries about noise or anything. It's got a cop shop. So one of those like uniform boots and, you know, police gear and security gear type of shops associated with it. So there's almost always some cops there, which is, you know, gives it that flavor. And it's changed over the years, but they've got a pretty decent selection of, well, always a good selection of new guns, a massive selection of rentals, just dozens and dozens, if not close to 100 rentals. Pretty much everything that's out there available today is going to be there for rent, which is really unique. I've always recommended it. If you live in Arizona, it's a destination. No matter where you live in Arizona, it's worth driving a couple hours to go to Shooters Worlds because you just get that much selection. You get a similar selection over at, what's the other one, Scottsdale, but Scottsdale's snooty, and you got to drive all the way into Scottsdale, which is a pain in the ass. There's no highways over there, and then it costs way more. So Shooters World's a lot more approachable and easy to deal with. I don't know if they have machine guns. I've never bothered with that. But again, large, multiple bays, indoors, and classrooms, pretty much everything you'd want in a shooting store, gun range. And I don't get paid by them or nothing. Wish we did. They'd be a great sponsor for the show because they, you know, would be the kind of place that if you were driving anywhere near Arizona or visiting Phoenix, it'd be worth recommending you stop there.
Oh, for sure.
But anyhow, it's on the way to that Ben Avery. So I don't know if we've ever stopped there, Bob, but we should because it's just like kind of.
They've got all the bays with the glass backs that you can kind of watch people shooting, or.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now, that surplus store, that crazy surplus tool store.
Yep.
Bob's been there.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then you get that surplus tool store. So I actually need to go up there again now that I got the van, because this is one of those surplus tool stores where the guy will go buy out a True Value or something, or he'll buy out like a dollar store and buy all their tools, or I don't know where he gets his Chinese stuff, but like if you need wheels or I don't know, garbage cans, like just the weirdest stuff that you at a regular hardware store you're paying like 3 times more money for. This place has got the dollar version of it. So if it's that disposable thing you need for painting, this is the place to get the dollar version of it that you can use for one job and not have to invest in something like a paint.
Yeah, not feel bad about throwing it away because you forgot to clean it.
Go outside for that.
Uh-oh, doggy's getting in trouble.
Yeah, I think Goro's in trouble again.
He's just being old. All right, so that was our gun shop today. Every day we try to feature a new shop. Soon we'll be literally featuring new shops every day. So more than ever, we're interested in people participating with the show, keeping gas in the tank literally. Over on Patreon, you can support the show itself at Daily Gun Show over on Patreon, or if you want to support the gun websites projects directly, we have a Patreon over there as well. We're going to be doing some things that involve the shops we'll be stopping at, as well as some of the gun shows and things. So looking forward to checking out some of these shops we've been talking about for a while, as well as seeing the Old West gun playing card decks move forward and start getting to be shipped out to well, first they have to be printed, but then eventually shipped out to everybody, and maybe a month ahead of time. So looking forward to seeing everybody's reaction that, you know, those things are going out nice and early. And then like I say, the new gun shop every single day, not to mention the museums and hopefully some collections and things we'll be seeing along the way. So sooner than later, the show will take that new dimension to it. And again, looking forward to people not just enjoying the show, but participating in it, letting us know where to go, giving us some direction, so that, if I'm driving around and I've got what I'm paying, but whatever for gas. Somebody was saying it was $3 a gallon on the East Coast. I'm over here paying like just over $2. So if I'm getting 10 to 13 miles a gallon, if I'm lucky on the highway, all the help we can get, making sure that we point that van at the best shops and not just the dumb ones. Really looking forward to some participation from everybody out there in the different corners of the country to help us get to all those cool shops and museums.
Yeah, and to do it efficiently. I mean, you're lucky you're getting 13 miles a gallon. I'm probably going to get 7.
Well, I'm saying 13, but I didn't do the last time. I went up the hill this last time. So what, 6,000 feet and 24 miles or something? I suspect I didn't get 13 going up there.
No, probably not.
Anyway, also got a couple of things like the O2 sensors came out of nowhere, looking like, 4 of those at $20 to $25 a piece, plus, it's going to cost something. So anybody that wants to participate over on the Patreon, like I say, now more than ever, it's appreciated. With that, we can move on to whatever the next section of the show will be, gun history.
Yeah, let's talk about gun history. What do we got?
I'm trying to remember if there's anything over on this calendar. Wiggling. Wait, what's today? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You don't know what today is? See, I didn't post
it. It's the 4th.
You didn't post it on the Instagram yet. It's August 4th, and in August 4th, 1991, Dragunov died. So the inventor of the SVD.
Oh.
His favorite gun. So Dragunov died in 1991. So we could have all met him. We all been paying more attention. Could have headed over there. Would have been tough. Cold War days. But
what do you mean could have?
Could have. Oh, you have? You have?
You've seen my last name.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that explains a lot.
And for people who don't know, I'm not going to say it, but it's 11 letters long and ends in Vitch. Just saying.
Uh-huh. Well, we know.
Custom Siminovich. Siminovich.
Smegovich?
Siminovich.
Megovich. Megovich. I like that.
Smeggy Smegovich. That's my name. Needs more consonants in there, though. Just some random V's and K's next to each other.
Yeah. Some letters that don't make any sense in it.
Well, I'm part polar, so I guess I need some EWs that make an F sound, because that makes sense. But anyways, other than that, history, was there other history, G-Webs? I know you normally go over to that website.
All right. Ooh. I had old dog things to do. I'm back again. All right.
Oh, okay.
Where the hell did it come? I just had it open a minute ago. All right. I don't know what happened to it. Is this it? No. Where's the thing? Oh, here it is. So, no. The U.S. launches the first satellite into lunar orbit from a manned spacecraft, Apollo 15. That's the one where we see the dark side of the moon, I imagine. Today in 1979, Carter established the Department of Energy. Bob's a big fan of that. In 2007, NASA launched the Phoenix spacecraft on a mission to Mars. I think that's it. Let's see if they have... You know who else was born today? He's your favorite president. If you like Obama. Obama was born today. It's Obama's birthday, 1961. He's older than me. He's also the 44th president of the United States.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah, so happy birthday, Obama, 44th president of the United States. I didn't know that. Born on the same day Simonoff died, except just the day, not anything about them.
Coincidence?
Yeah, like, no. But All right. So with that, what do we got over here? Some kind of Instagram link. Bad Prius drivers. Okay. So obviously,
Oh, well, they were talking about the gas mileage. They said should have bought a Prius.
Oh, okay. Yep, I definitely have discovered that buying a van based on how cool of a van it looks like is not the way to go. Instead, buying it off of the gas mileage is probably the better way to have gone. So I may end up not keeping it long term in order to get a minivan. We'll see. No, probably Kia. Is that the Korean one?
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's not think about that. All right, so I think we're done. We talked about it. We didn't talk about a gun movie. So I just
Wait,
watched.
we missed the whole topic, dude.
Oh, you mean the alternative gun topic? Most useless you've ever purchased? Is that even a thing? Can you purchase a useless tool?
I never have. I always find a use for them. Might not be what I bought it for, but I find a use for them.
But yeah, that is the last topic for the third topic for today. Alternative topic: most useless tool you've purchased. Are we going to limit it to gun stuff, or just go nuts and say all tools?
I don't know. I think kind of gun related ish would be the way to go.
You're turning into Dano.
Well, whatever. I mean, here's the other thing. I'm trying to think, and I can't think of anything. I don't have tons of gun tools, but any of them that I got for a reason, and then I used it for that reason. So it might be something you don't use often. Like maybe if you built an AR like every once in a while, and you got the stuff for that, but that's not useless because you needed it for the one time you built the AR, just because you haven't done it again.
No, I'll go ahead and say useless sometimes. So we talked a little bit earlier about upselling and the appropriateness of recommending additional products to someone purchasing. But something like you're just saying to build an AR, the little thingy that goes into a mag so that you can put your lower on the vise. It's appropriate for some people, I suppose. But on the other hand, some people have a magazine laying around that they can just jam in the vise or put a piece of wood in it, jam it in the vise, and it's a sacrificial mag, and then that can be their mag for that purpose. So, in that case, it would be a pointless purchase. So I think that there's, again, depending on the situation, some stuff that is just dumb. I think some gunsmithing stuff is so specific that it's dumb, and you're kind of crippling yourself if you really think you got to buy one. For me, and I'm going to catch flack because I don't care, is that little goofy pin to put your AR mag catch. I think, is that the one where people buy that goofy rivet pin pusher thing for that?
Oh yeah, that seems the mag release is easy. Just push it in with whatever you got laying around and screw it on the other side.
The bolt catch that's on that little roll pin hinge that goes parallel with the lower, so people don't like to scrape it, and they buy that little flat pin.
Oh, the flat punch. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Like flat on the side. See, I think that's kind of pointless. I mean, sure, if you're doing it a lot and you're doing it for somebody else, but seriously, a flat punch. I mean, I can't think of any other thing where you're going to use that tool.
I got one just because it came in the kit with all the other, it was like an AR building thing. The thing that gets me on that, like, yeah, it's flat, but then it's also kind of short. So once you hold it flat to the receiver, the part where you screw in the buffer tube is like in the way. And when I was building an AR with my ex-father-in-law, he's a machinist, and he built it like his own punch. He just took like a really long rod and made it into a punch. And that way it kind of like was curved a little bit. So you would hold it, and then it was behind like the buffer tube area. So you could just pound away on it, no problem. And because he made like a little like, divot out where that would be, it didn't hit anything. And that was actually kind of neat. That took the flat punch and made it even more specialized. But I thought that was neat. That's a one-of-a-kind custom. But yeah, I mean, with I hear what you're saying on that flat-sided one though, because even if you hold it flat, then you're still worried about when you're trying to hit the thing with the hammer, you're actually hitting it, not smacking into the receiver. So you still just got to be careful. Which if you're using a regular one, just kind of hold it a little bit at an angle and be careful. Problem solved. But I don't know. I'd be interested if there's anyone in the chats talks about something that they've got that they end up not really using. Stupid Geisley metal rod that costs $100 locks into the barrel on an AR. I don't know what that is.
So it basically goes in like your bolt, if I understand it correctly, and locks into the lugs and gives you super strong support of your barrel as opposed to your upper, I think, for when you're torquing on a handguard, so that you're not applying force, shear force from your upper to your handguard, but instead from your barrel to your handguard, rotational force. That's my guess. I've seen them. They're substantial, but yeah, a lot of specific parts for ARs. But it's hard to scorn some of those parts, because how many ARs are people building? You can cite dozens of people that own dozens of ARs by now. Literally. I'm not even talking shit. I can literally name a couple of dozen people that own a dozen ARs. So, if you got a dozen, I think it's worth having a sight puller for having like 3 Glocks. Or some specialized tools for having 3 of the same gun. If you got 12 of the same gun,
yeah, that's true. Oh, he's just saying basically not for the price. So, well, there you go. Make your own and sell it for $80.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've always been a make do with what I've got type guy. So the only thing I ever bought that I've never used was I bought a sight adjustment tool for my SKS, and I guess it works for AKs as well. I never had to sight my SKS. The sights were dead on when I bought it, and even banging around in the safe in the camper, they never got knocked out of true. So I just got it still in the package. I've never used it.
otherwise, I think sight tools are worth having if you've got a couple of guns, or you've got a couple of friends who have guns and you like to hang out and help out people and stuff. I know that I've let people borrow my sight puller before. I've brought it over to people's house and let them use it or helped them figure it out or whatever. They're not perfect. XDs they don't like because they're stupid, weird shapes, and plus they're bare to get off. And then what I think M&Ps have a goofy looking slide. They're trying to be all fancy and prove something, so they make their slide angle, and they're a little bit goofy for some sight pullers, depending on their age. But they're not insignificant. I mean, they cost like $100 plus for a decent one, and I think they can make life a lot easier. Another thing, I guess, a little more specific to AKs is the muzzle threader. That was a big deal back in the day because there was so many assault weapons ban non-threaded neutered ones that 14-1 left hand die wasn't typical stupid left hand Russian metric, right? So it's the dumb tap. Not very many people had them in stock ever, unless they were like a tap and die place. Anyway, so people would get one of those, and we'd share them. We'd have whatever threading parties and come over and thread barrels in the kitchen type of thing. I think that's a big part of gunsmithing, right? Is you got 3 or 5 dozen people that you shoot with, on a semi-regular basis, and everybody's got their specialties or their things, their AR parts or their pistol parts or whatever it might be. Sometimes just having a nice set of pistol tools or gun tools, right? The nice screwdrivers and one of those sets with a nice hammer and brass and rubber and all that. I know lots of people that don't even have a decent set of hammers.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. That's something I still want to get, is the gunsmithing screwdrivers. because I don't have that, so I just use, you know, whatever screwdriver I have laying around. But you know, they make them specifically all the different like sizes, and they're more, you know, less likely to strip out a screw and stuff because you're using the correct tool. My dad always said, you know, use the correct tool for the job. Yeah, can other stuff work? Yeah, you can probably make it work, but if you have a chance to use the correct tool, then use the correct tool. And sometimes you end up, like you said, with a box full of stuff you only used a couple times, and then your buddy needs it. So there you go. Let him borrow it. And maybe he's got something that you want to use.
And aside for some of this most crazy stuff, like Bob said, having a bunch of tools ain't bad, because then you got all kinds of crazy, weird angled, shaped things that you can make do for something else in the future.
Yeah. So there you go. No useless tool left behind.
All right, with that, then I guess we'll go on to, we did everything. That's it. So, and then about 45 minutes in. So let's see. Today's Friday. That means we'll be back on Monday. We'll be on episode 371. We'll be talking about all kinds of stuff that we don't even have a thing listed in here. So we definitely will be getting together on Saturday and scheduling some stuff. I can't even tell you what we're going to be talking about.
Now you know how I felt that day that I was playing host because you were on the road. I opened up the thing and it was blank. And I'm like, oh, geez.
Now, we're not technically legal to do any kind of a pop type contest or anything like that. But we can just casually ask our audience if anybody knows what's coming up next week.
What does that mean? What?
I'm just curious if anybody knows what next week is, what the big deal is next week. It's kind of a big deal next week. One of the major things for the year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, I guess nobody cares.
Well, I hope this flash question.
No, I don't care about my birthday. Nobody knows what my birthday is. I don't even remember when my birthday is. So with that, I guess we will move it along and say we'll be back on Monday, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 Pacific. Encourage everybody to join us live if you're listening after the show. Not live, then leave us some feedback on whatever the platform is you listen to the show. That way we know where you're at and we know where to devote our attentions. We want to thank our people that are listening on Patreon or supporting the show financially on Patreon. We do appreciate that. And like I say, now more than ever, we're going to be able to put that money to good use and make the show, well, turn it up a notch, take it to the streets. And let's see, today's Friday. So that means we've got Edge of the Week coming up later on tonight. We also have Clover Tack coming up imminently, I think in about 40 minutes. I think he starts at 6. If he's out there, he'll let us know what time he's starting. And I'm getting used to that. And that means tomorrow is Saturday, and in the early morning hours, at least for us over here on the west coast, Travis will be doing Caliber Corner. I don't know what time that starts, but it's on the schedule sometime during the day.
I think it's 9 a.m. Eastern.
That sounds right, because I think it's 7
So
a.m.
he's feeling hit or miss Tuesday nights 9 o'clock, but turning it into daytime.
Morning time. So it's an interesting show. He usually gets a couple of people on there, and they chat for about an hour or so, depending on what his Saturday schedule is like. Rick will be doing Rick's American Life, I believe. He's back at it. And stay tuned for some other stuff, like perhaps some band chats, or I got to cram an AK-47 chat into here some point this month. So stay tuned for stuff happening over the weekend. On Monday mornings, Jimmy James is typically hosting Early Watch, which is a long format show over on Gun Channels. Happens from the morning hours all the way up till our show starts. And it's kind of a formatted, kind of like a radio show, except better because you can listen and participate and, of course, jump in if you really want to. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff that's happening. We will talk to you in about half a day. I guess we're going to be back here tomorrow.
Yep. All right. I guess we're going to wrap her up. So today we got a quote by George Washington. And I know we've done some of these quotes before, and I hope nobody minds, but there's only so many quotes out there that I can find. So anybody wants to email them to us, if Dano tells me about them, I'll know they're there and use them. So today, let's go see what George Washington's got to say. But before that, I want to thank everybody for watching and listening. And I will want to remind you, please thumbs up, please share, please subscribe if you haven't already. So this quote's by George Washington. The very atmosphere of firearms anywhere restrains evil interference. They deserve a place of honor with all that's good. And I truly believe that, and I hope most of the rest of you guys do too. So we'll see you all, well, maybe Saturday, but if not, we'll talk to you on Monday. Bye, guys.
The guys and gals at gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.
Like a princess, she was laying there, moonlight dancing on her hair. She woke up and took me by the hand. She's gonna love me in my Chevy van, and that's alright with me.